Holy cow. That is one maddening music going with the maddening starting of this week, guys. Holy cow, that is for sure. And as is, let me fix the Discord here. Mike, you there?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's been quite the maddening week, as I picked a good song out for the start of this week's show with Start Raving Mad by Technoax. But
yeah, man.
What's why don't we go ahead and get that other stuff out of the way, like your suggestion, before we start talking about the big main event?
Sure, before we get into the open carry madness, there's a few news stories that have come up over the last couple days that are just sticking in my craw. So, first thing, Bunny, pull up that article, the one from the New York Times, so people can see what I'm talking about.
Article? Are you sure you're talking about an article here, man?
Yeah, it's the New York Times story. Remember, or no, the LA Times story about the prisons costing more than Harvard. It's in the...
Okay, yeah, you had me confused there, because I was going, I'm pretty sure that was LA Times.
Yeah, it's LA Times, yeah. Oops.
Alright, we're looking at it, published of June last year.
Alright. So, here's the thing, right? They just announced that it's costing the good state of California $75,560 a year to house prisoners. This is just completely antithetical to logic and reason, people. I mean, let's think about it for a second. Like, California has it's the sixth largest population in the world per capita. It imprisons more people than any state, or sorry, any country in Central Europe, all the little Central European countries. It's absolutely freaking ridiculous. To give an example of the markup that the taxpayers have to pay for people to be in prisons, my very good friend Robert West, aka Uncle Bob, had to get orthopedic shoes in Pelican Bay. He had to get soft-soled shoes. There weren't anything special. They were just shoes with a soft sole. They cost the citizens of California a whopping $1,500. Okay, it's just the quintessential example of fascism. Please, people, do check out the link to that article, and it just makes me insane. Okay, the whole mentality for penitents and prisons in America is just completely insane. It all started, you know, the genesis of this idea that people should be punished in prison started way back in the 1800s when a guy by the name of Jeremy Bentham invented something called the panopticon. The panopticon was basically an octagonal shaped prison where the prison cells had 5 walls, and the wall facing the center of the octagon was just open to open air, and there was a lighthouse in the center of the prison. And the idea, there was black, blackened glass, so the prisoners couldn't see who was in the lighthouse. And there was snipers in there. And the whole idea was to modify the behavior of the prisoners by making them constantly feel like a sniper could shoot them and kill them at any minute. And Jeremy Bentham was a what he called himself was a utilitarian social reformer, and his idea was to use architecture as a means to manipulate behavior. And our entire penal system is based on his ideas. So please do Google the Panopticon and Jeremy Bentham's utilitarian social reforming movement and all that fun stuff, and you'll learn about how just backwards and wrong our entire penal system is. So now that I've gotten that off my chest, you know, I will just leave some links in the description on this video of stuff that's in my most recent Steemit articles that I wanted to share, but I don't want to talk about them. Just check out the articles. They're pertaining to this whole Emma Gonzalez and David Hogg and this whole using children as ideological mercenaries for the Democratic Party, and that's making me insane too. Using the blood of children as you know, a psychological cudgel to force people to regress into literal retards. But yeah, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's talk about Olmos Park, Bunny.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to quickly add real fast before we hop on that. Did you hear over in Portland, you know, that student walkout thing that happened a couple weeks back?
Yes, I do.
Did you hear about the Portland teacher that had a bunch of the students leave school grounds and do a die-in at a busy intersection?
No, I didn't, but I did do some research on the people that paid for and funded the March for Our Lives here in Portland, Oregon, and they're actually Democratic Party insiders. So it's not a grassroots children's movement, a high school students movement. This is all a contrivancy and political manipulation by the mainstream left-wing political ideologues. And I'll leave a link to that under this video when I put it up there on YouTube. During the broadcast, I'll put a link to me going through how this is all a contrivancy here in Portland, Oregon by the Democratic Party. You know, it's just disgusting and morally and ethically repugnant and just unethical the way these kids are being used.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with I'm going to switch it back to the actual video here. Let me get this loaded up, but I'm going to pause real fast. This is the video that is blowing up across the face of activism of the open carry and also just like of exercise of civil rights here. And do you have this is probably the first time you're seeing it, right, Mike? Or
yeah, man, it's the first time. Well, I've seen the I've watched the arrest of CJ, and that's about it.
Okay, so it's going to be quite interesting with this video and then this what is said after the arrest. So let's go ahead and get started here.
You might want to put your gun away. I spoke to your chief yesterday.
Hey, down on the ground. You lay down on the ground, motherfucker. Lay down on the
Hey, whoa, keep.
You're the only dangerous motherfucker out here. Lay down on the ground.
You're committing a felony right now, officer. You are committing a felony. That is an armed terrorist threat. This is Olmos Park, guys. Olmos Park, once again. Once again, Olmos Park. Why you got an AR-15 out?
Get away from him.
Articulate the law if broken and I will...
I am.
Okay. Are you here to hurt anybody?
Negative.
You have a gun as well?
Of course I do.
Okay. Get away then.
Now, what crime is being committed here?
I will get down.
What crime is being committed here? So you got an AR-15 in hand because a man is lawfully carrying. This guy over here's got a pistol because he's lawfully carrying. How you doing? Oh, these cops are overreacting to a man lawfully carrying a firearm. We told you guys you were going to learn. Today's your education. Today's your education, Corporal. At some point, you're going to realize no crime is being committed.
In the state of Texas, only
This guy's got an AR-15 in his hand right now.
can the House and Senate pass any law that pertains to the penal code.
Here, I'm gonna
Which means
open carry
under
mine just in case.
1-08, no subdivision of the law can pass any criminal law, which means any law that you may have enacted
How y'all doing?
in your city.
We're just teaching your cops a lesson right now about lawful activity.
Does not make it illegal to carry
They're learning about the
firearm
Second Amendment today.
or a loaded firearm.
What's that? Yes, ma'am.
What you're doing right now is holding gunpoint to a U.S. Army veteran.
You got a gun in your hand too?
To Iraq, who has never committed a crime in his life, who is doing nothing illegal, and you have 3 officers holding me at gunpoint because I have not committed a crime.
No, this is Olmos Park outside of San Antonio.
Are you starting to feel dumb yet?
Are you Renee? Are you the chief? Are you the chief? No, this...
Okay, there we go. Pause button wasn't working. Now, Mike, did you notice anything interesting about what's going on in this situation?
No, I'm just watching and analyzing. I don't want to give commentary yet. You go right ahead, brother.
All right. Well, what I'm noticing is they're all in sort of a standoff situation with a guy that's just got a gun that's strapped to, I mean, that's slung across his chest, not being held or anything like that. And
guy back here. Are you the chief?
Hold on. Okay, there we go. What's also interesting is, did you notice that one car that pulled up to the intersection then pulled out after a brief exchange with the person holding the camera?
Of course.
They haven't closed off all the intersections in order to have this standoff situation.
Right. They don't have enough officers right now to do a perimeter, and it seems like that this is all haphazard, and the cops don't know exactly what they're doing at this point. It seems that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing right here, is they do not have the safety of the citizens really a concern in this situation, especially when they didn't have, pretty much in this situation, you need 4 vehicles. Okay, you got a guy, if there's like a shooter situation, you go in and you try to block off as many directions as possible first, and then you go in. They didn't even do that. So they definitely don't know what the hell they're doing in this city.
Yeah, there's a man with a gun right there.
You're the only one threatening people. You're the only one threatening people, officer. You're the only one.
You already asked if I was going to be violent. I am not. I am not going to shoot anyone. I am not a terrorist.
Are you the police chief?
I am an American citizen.
Are you the police chief?
Get on the ground or disarm myself for not committing a crime.
Are you the police chief? No, we're not getting on the ground. We're not getting on the ground.
One more time to get on the ground. I'm not going to tell you again. If you have
For what? What crime?
If you have a license to carry a handgun,
He doesn't need a license to carry a rifle.
If you harm me when not committing a crime, you can go to jail for up to 10 years.
What crime are we committing?
You're interfering with the duties right now.
Well, you have no duty to disarm a law-abiding citizen.
Look, I have to weigh in here for a second. I know that the magistrate tossed out the interfering with public duties charge, but since I was charged with that out in Texas, this cop, this contemptible hog with his fat just spilling up out of his body armor. I mean, look at that guy's chin. I mean, he's got more chins than a Chinese phone book. It's disgusting. But he's like, you're interfering with public duties right now. I mean, what? Like, oh, just fuck off, pig.
Because, you know, you can't ask me for a license.
Turn around, sir.
I'm not doing anything
Get
against
on the ground.
Hey, look, man, I'm not doing anything.
I am not doing. No!
get back!
God damn it! Get back! Turn off the damn.
At this point, he was also tasered when he went down. So just give you that heads up. He was hit in the back, according to the statements that's been made so far.
Yeah, and also, according to News Now Houston, he was wounded by the asphalt, and you can hear this sound like a someone dropping a honey-baked ham on the asphalt, and that's CJ's head bouncing off the ground. But go ahead.
Well, and the further add to that, there was a girl that was a teenage girl that was turned into a vegetable from a similar kind of tasing incident where she was running away. Right, and they tased her, and she hit her head on the pavement, which caused her to be brain dead, comatose.
Well, see, that's the kind of stuff that cops can get away with because of qualified immunity and lots of other fun legal stuff. But here's the thing. In most states, it's legal for them to use extreme amounts of force if someone's fleeing, if you know, a crime has been committed, and they have all kinds of legal protections for doing that. And a lot of people don't even know that they can just shoot you in the back in many states if you're fleeing under certain circumstances and get away with it.
Yeah, and let me address something unknown. I'll talk about that in another live stream. How about that? So, this is Strategic Non-Compliance co-host thing. We're going to be talking about Olmos Park today, but maybe tomorrow I'll do a live stream and I'll sit down and talk with that on my live stream drama channel kind of thing. So, I've been probably needing to cover all that stuff. Anyway, back to Olmos Park. So let's go ahead and continue on. Now, this is where the handcuffs are going on. This is going to be quite the interesting thing of what continues on.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now.
Son of a bitch. I wasn't even a threat to anybody.
I told you to give me
Chief,
your hand.
you and I spoke.
Turn around.
You and I spoke on the phone, Chief.
All. That's right. I can go to jail for up to 10 years.
You ready for a lawsuit there, officer? Because you just smacked my head into the ground. And Chief, you know damn well, because you and I spoke on the phone. You and I spoke on the phone, Chief, so you're doing this. It's assault again.
So it sounds like the police chief is on scene also, which is even worse. If you're listening in on the background stuff, it's a little bit hard to hear, unfortunately.
Well, the police chief and their public information officer is going to have a hard time controlling this narrative in the media because, you know, the police chief was there and responsible for the actions. And I want to talk about Texas just for a quick second, and open carry. When I was out there last summer at a protest event, there was Antifa with AK-47s. There was militia people across the street from them, like right-wing militia folks with ARs. There was people open carrying pistols. There's people with long rifles, just milling about all through the crowd. You know, there was even a very large crowd control situation where they had to send in a phalanx of goons with riot batons to fight with Antifa in the middle of all these long rifles, and nobody freaked out. Nobody threw anyone on the ground that was holding a rifle. You know, it was just ridiculous. I mean, there's people sitting around on their porches in Texas all over the place just cleaning their rifles. You know, it's part of the culture there, and this is just a massive overreaction on these cops' parts.
Yeah, and I mean, this is insane. Because they even stated that the Texas law supersedes the city ordinance, and we'll have a video specifically from a month ago. This is an issue that's been going on for over a month with Olmos Park. Go ahead.
I have to correct something I said. The cops didn't have to go in and do crowd control at that protest. They were ordered to. So I guess they're brainwashing, like, that's the way they think about it. You know, if they had any dignity, they'd quit their fucking jobs.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is Olmos Park has been an ongoing issue. SCAT has detected it. Open Carry Texas is now aware of it, and they're injecting themselves also. This is being hit from two different groups now. Open Carry Texas and SCAT, the San Antonio or South Texas group of auditors that grouped together. They're the first ones to discover this specific town and its issues. And it's not a big town. It's a very small town within San Antonio, a small municipality. And this police force is out of control on this issue with the whole exercising of the rights of open carry and all that stuff. But go ahead.
Well, a lot of those small towns, suburbs of Austin and suburbs of Houston and all those other small towns have out-of-control police forces. I mean, when I went out there this summer, I was asleep beside a car at a gas station. I woke up because of a rainstorm, and there was a sheriff's deputy standing there. He asked me for my ID, and I explained that I'm not breaking any laws, so I'm not going to give you the ID. The officer immediately put me in handcuffs and made me stand there for about 15 minutes in the rain, and stuck me in the back of his car for another 20 minutes, finally released me, and drove off quickly and stole my ID. Never returned my ID. I called dispatch, and they said, oh, they don't have your DL, and just hung up on me, and that was the end of it. So a lot of these cops in small towns around Texas are just out-of-control goons.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and continue this, and while I get myself some water here.
Hey, you might want to read those papers. There's the law on that paper right there.
Call an ambulance. That guy's bleeding.
I don't answer questions.
The head, he's bleeding.
Get him in a patrol car and get him in a patrol car.
And what are you arresting me for?
You ready to get him?
What are you arresting me
Put him in
for?
a patrol car.
What are you arresting me for?
Eugene.
Get him in there. Secure him with that patrol car.
All right, guys. Now I want you to listen carefully to the radio traffic when this cell phone gets thrown in that car.
You get him up.
Yeah.
You get
You
him
have
up.
another set of cuffs?
Huh? Yeah.
Another set of cuffs? I'll stay here, I ain't moving.
Can you take my hat off for me? It's all crooked and weird and shit. Or do you mind if I just bob my hat off? Is that okay? Is that okay, sir?
There you go.
I'm just going to take it off, the rest of the stuff.
Just gonna try to get you up, okay? Ready, 1, 2.
Well, yeah, I'm like 350 pounds. You're going to need like 2 dudes.
Ready?
Yeah, y'all ready?
1, 2.
1, 2, 3. Up we go.
You're gonna walk with us or what? Get him. Put him in the patrol car. Tell fire to stand down. Tell
Okay, this is very important because fire is their medical. You know, the man needs medical attention. His head was bloodied on the ground, and he's like, tell him to stand down. And the reason why, listen to his reason why.
Tell fire to stand down. The area is not secured.
Not secure my ass.
Yeah, I mean, okay, their subjects are in handcuffs already. So how is it not secure? Okay, they're just denying medical attention just because they're bully hogs, you know, squealing. They're used to robbing citizens, disobeying the law, and just plunging their snouts into the public trough and just being general goons all day. And they just get off on this power trip, man. It's disturbing.
Hey! Y'all take off.
One male in custody at 1817, bearing 223, copy, responding code 2.
Those are U.S. Army veterans you arrested for no reason. You have a comment?
Let's get this stuff. Let's put this in. Yeah.
Is that bug G?
Let's get back over. Yeah, we'll get her in a minute.
No law broken. You're attacking American citizens for nothing, for no crime.
Get those weapons.
There's news now, Houston.
No
Let me unload it.
Piss on the Constitution.
What we managed to do is bankrupt.
Is that Joanne Castro?
Now I'm gonna quickly pause here. They're referring to Duane. That's Buck G, and they issued a warrant for her arrest after they left the scene and left her behind when they arrested Jack about 2 weeks ago. Texas Sheepdog. There, when he was doing an open carry or some sort of carry thing over in Olmos Park. And it's quite interesting and very telling because it seems to me they're really trying to stop this. But it's going to be even further telling. As I said, listen carefully as the camera gets put in the car.
What crime have I committed, officer? What crime have I committed, officer? What crime have I committed, officer?
329.
What crime have I committed, officer?
PD with one adult male. Starting is 37337.
What crime have I committed, officer?
Transfer one adult male to the PD, number 37337, time 1819.
Are you not going to tell me what crime I've committed? Is that because you can't? Because of...
301. 301.
Is that because there was no crime committed? Is that why you're not telling me what crime?
301, go ahead.
There was no crime committed? That's why you're not telling me, officer? What crime have I committed? Are you just being...
301, go with the traffic.
The crime he committed was contempt of cop and conspiracy to be armed and willing to defend yourself.
Guy that makes everyone else look...
301, I got San Antonio location. We squashed the rebel. Again, I tased one and we got...
Did you hear that, Mike?
Yeah, we've squashed the rebellion. Yes. Wait. I have a little something to play for the lovely, you know, officers of the Olmos Park police station. Here goes.
Go ahead. Hey, you cut yourself out. Okay, if we're gonna smash this, hold on. Let me do this one much better. Hold on. Let's see here. Whoops, I'm typing into the wrong search box here. Okay. Oh, wait, someone did a 10-hour...
Here goes. Could you guys hear the audio track I played, or what?
It was coming and cutting it out. We have crushed the rebellion. Okay, that was horrible, but yes, that it is insane. And this is also why it's important to have a cell phone setup that records when the screen is turned off and locked. The potential to gather additional stupidity is insane.
Yeah, man, if you're using an iPhone and you're arrested, you need to go into your settings and enable something called guided access. You can Google and watch on YouTube, enable guided access, and you can fix your phone to where it won't stop recording even if they press the power button, or no matter what button they press on the keypad, the touchpad, it won't stop recording. And your phone will go into booking until the battery's dead.
Yeah, or they turn it. I mean, officially turn it off. Let's see. Oh, wait.
They can't turn it off. You can't turn it off with the power button while guided access isn't enabled.
I got a better song. I played the hell out of this game back in the day. But this song is so fitting, actually, and what someone said made it Nazi music. Here you go. Okay, you guys get the idea. So, anyway, let's watch a little bit more of this, and then we'll switch over to some other video coverage of this stuff.
Got looks like 3 in custody at this time.
Alright, hey, my left hand is falling asleep, by the way.
I'm gonna get you out right now.
Received.
What's that?
Right, 223 can downgrade from code 3 code.
I also am bleeding on the back of my head.
323.
I'm also bleeding from the back of my head, CJ says.
Thanks to you guys tasing a person who's not a threat to anyone.
323.
Can you run one on Duane Castro out of rival authority?
You realize that, right?
I'll give you a better breath in a little bit. Transporting one female to the PD, mileage 91508.5, 91508.5.
I'm not at the PD. I'm not ending.
So you got me here for what crime?
329, go ahead.
37337.
What crime you got me for?
Show the PDM under 37337. Break 323, I copy transporting. You have to give me that date of birth so I can do anything specific.
What crime have I committed again?
So I'll give it to you in just a little bit. Check case number, stand by.
What crime have I committed again? I'm confused. Why is this?
Of course, they're not going to answer him because they don't know what they're going to charge him with. But go ahead.
Just quickly, in Texas, they have 48 hours to sign and fill out an affidavit of probable cause for the arrest. When you're arrested for a political reason, they do this to Antonio Beeler all the time. But when I was arrested with him out at Peaceful Streets Project in Austin, when I was arrested with him last year, actually almost 2 years ago, they held us for 42 hours and then finally charged us.
Yeah. So, okay, let's go ahead and I'm gonna jump to when Texas Sheepdog did about the bond posting, so this way we can. Here we go.
The San Antonio Magistrate and Detention
and we're gonna hear the list of charges that they pushed and all that stuff. He does a pretty good job of listing out all that information. Okay, come on.
I've been here all night. I won't leave until they come out. So we got bonds posted. So we're just waiting for their release. It can take anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 6 hours. So there's no way to tell. But anyway, bonds have been posted. CJ was charged with assault on a police officer. And you guys haven't seen the footage other than I think the live stream that he was running, but I have seen the other footage, and the footage other than I think the live stream that he was running, but I have seen the other footage.
I hope that these activists don't listen to their lawyers, because the lawyers always say, don't show the video, don't show the video, don't show the... And all that does is allow the corporate media and the police to bury the story. Like, I hope that they're brave enough to just show the video of CJ not assaulting the cop.
Well, here's the deal.
Question.
Well, hold on. Let me speak to more on that. The situation on that depends, and chances are they will show the video eventually. But they're just going to wait for some of the stuff to settle. I mean, some of the stuff to get dealt with first, and they'll start putting it out, rolling it out. Because the thing is I don't want to give too much away, because I mean, this is a common strategy, is let them write their reports before they put it out.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what I always do as well. Bunny Boots, is let them script the official BS narrative and then release the video contradicting it. Yeah, like that's the wise way to go.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is like, for some things, like let's say when I was arrested in Springfield, and they did give me all my stuff back. Now the live stream is already out there, but do you think I'm gonna immediately release the footage of the 360 cam and the other stuff from the other angles? No, I would sort of sit on that, maybe wait a couple weeks or whatever, let them put down on official paperwork what they think, and then, after I get my hands on that, start releasing. Now, that's pretty much my general strategy with all that. But since Springfield took all my cameras, I can't look at that footage or release that footage until maybe I get a copy of it later on. Nonetheless,
go ahead.
You
also want to look at Springfield's, Oregon's policy on confiscated video equipment. Like in Portland, where I'm at, they're supposed to return it to you after they make copies of it. So there might be some policy that they're violating just by not returning your property. I don't know. You're going to have to look into it.
Yeah, well, as is, I got to talk with my lawyer some more. I'm going to try to get a hold of them a little bit later this week and see if there's anything new or whatever, because they're supposed to be putting in paperwork for a bunch of stuff. I was like, hey, we need to get copies of this stuff because I definitely want to go over it and see if there's something in it. But let's go ahead and continue.
As to an assault. Another false charge from Olmos Park. He was also charged with interfering with the duties of a public servant. He was also charged with obstructing a passageway. Basically, if you block a sidewalk or a driveway.
Okay, I'm going to get to this in a sec. Apparently, Nebuchadnezzar X says Poetic will be showing his arrest video tonight. So that'll be really good because I've been waiting to see that. I'm glad that they managed to get a copy of that. I really want to see exactly what happened with that situation. Because that's been an ongoing thing for over a year. But on to this.
Wait, I have a quick announcement.
Okay.
The first person to smash my super chat button wins a gold pony.
That's him, not me. So anyway, continue on. Also, the obstruction of a passageway thing. As is, it's such a bullshit fucking charge that they try to throw. It literally, it's like, I don't have anything left. We're going to throw the kitchen sink at this and just hopefully maybe whatever we're throwing at him will stick kind of situation.
Well, of course. Oh, absolutely. This is political now. It's not criminal. I mean, they're not, the prosecutors and the police are not just thinking about the criminal phase. It's all political. And the idea is to throw out so many charges that they'll try to manipulate people into taking plea bargains later. And they'll say, well, we'll take off all these other charges if you plead guilty. And you can just admit to guilt and we'll give you, 48 hours of community service at their very last offer. And then if you tell them to go F themselves, then you're out of the criminal phase. It all gets dropped, and you can start with your civil liability and take this little municipality for everything, including the shirts on their backs.
Yeah, and I did a check on their tax records, what was it, about a month ago, and they don't, I mean, they barely break like the $1 million mark, if I remember correctly, or something like that on the yearly taxes. Or, no, actually, maybe it was a $10 million. It was a $1 or $2 million mark or something like that. But it's a really small thing, and this pretty much what's going on is everybody that's been involved so far, they can form a class action lawsuit and really nail the city hard to the point where it may have to dissolve itself because of the financial liability they have caused themselves for violating these guys' legal rights. Yeah, it's just insane at how far this city has gone against people that open carry, that are legally open carry. But I'm gonna go ahead and hit the play.
Charged with that. They tried to charge him with resisting arrest, but the magistrate rejected that charge.
The magistrate rejected that charge. That is very telling. When the magistrate starts stepping in and going, okay, you're going too far with the charges, this doesn't apply to the situation, you know something's not right with the police department. When the magistrates, the first level of the courts, the magistrate's going, this charge is not going to be applied because guess what? It's not valid. There's something going on here. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, of course, and the magistrate, just so people knows, is that takes they take the function of the district attorney in the first phase of the criminal apparatus in Texas. I just wanted to make that clarification for people that don't live in Texas.
Come on, quit lagging. Watch Together seems to be laggy today. Is it lagging for you too, or because I think my it froze up.
A guy by the name of Jim, who was out there with CJ, the tall guy carrying the rifle, they tried to load charges up on him too. Same thing. I think resisting arrest, interference with the public duties of a peace officer, disorderly conduct. Same thing they charged me with, carrying a rifle in a manner calculated to cause alarm. Everything was rejected by the magistrate, except for interference with the duties, interfering with a police officer. Joanna, the backup camera girl,
Wait, I have to weigh in here.
Joanna,
okay, that's funny.
camera girl,
okay, I was charged with interfering with public duties. So they dropped everything except the one that's going to be hard for them to prove. And what I mean by this is simply this. Okay, when I Googled the Texas Penal Code, when I was charged with interfering with public duties in Austin, it clearly states in very plain English that it's physical. You have to physically obstruct their duty. So you have to touch them or push them or get in their way physically. So that's going to be really hard for them to prove. So this is just looking great.
Yeah, it's insane.
The backup camera girl, they had a warrant for her arrest for interfering with the duties of a public servant. That was back whenever I got arrested and she was filming, and they put an AR-15 in her face and slapped a camera out of her hand and hit her so hard it caused a large bruise on her body. Yeah. They decided to charge her a month later with interfering with a police officer.
Boy, oh boy.
Guys, these are not bad cops. You know, I deal with bad cops. You know this. I go after bad cops. These are not bad cops. These are criminals.
Yeah, the gold ponies are in the mail, guys. Blue Ghost, awesome. Thank you. Thank you,
I'm hitting this button. It's just not stop. There we go. Yeah, I saw the super chat. I heard the beep, 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 beep. So there you go. Okay, so that's. Oh, we got another one.
Not much, brother, but want to support the movement. Much respect, Scissor. Don't need the pony, just wanted to help.
Alright, so got that. What's interesting is, and this is the incident where let's see, come on, it's gonna, for whatever reason this is taking forever to load. I may have to just get a pro account with these guys and maybe dodge this issue. Okay, it's pulling it up. Okay, good. It's pulling it up here. Now, this is a backup camera girl's incident where she got a warrant issued for her arrest. And this is actually a re-upload done by the Batosai, which I can't remember who had the original video up, but we'll see soon. Come on. Let's see, taken 220, Jack arrested for open carry, and Joanna was assaulted while recording. At 3:23, a warrant was issued for Joanna's arrest for interfering over this incident.
If you reach that weapon, you will be shot. I will construe that as a threat. Get on the ground now! Get on the ground now! You get back! Stop back! Put that camera up! Get back! Get back! I'm not gonna tell you. Get back, man! Get out of the way!
Don't
get out of the gun right
Don't touch me!
We are dealing with a man with a gun. Get out of the way! We are dealing with a person.
Okay. Did you hear what he said? Don't do that?
Yes.
Yeah. What was he referring to? Don't do what? Don't film? Don't record that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it seems like they did not want to be documented. And it seems like
that's just standard pig default behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, these people need to be put in an open pen and forced to live in their own feces. Just fed slop out of a butt it. I mean, that's how they're acting, and that's the way they should be treated.
Yeah, and it seems like my internet's acting a little bit up, guys. I'm sorry if it's buffering out quite a bit, but if you jump it back by about 10 seconds, that should help you out a little bit. As is, I'm sort of noticing lag issues on my side. I'm not sure if it's specifically the internet, but if you're seeing it too on the live stream, that is just, it's something that's happening. I can't really do much about it. I do have the live stream set up to where it should give you the smoothest playback, at least if you hold back about 10 to 20 seconds before the live portion. So this way, you should avoid quite a bit of that. I apologize on the issue, but there's only so much I can do on my end, and the internet service providers, it depends on how congested their network is. But let's go ahead and continue here.
With a gun over here, step back! Get back! Step back! We're dealing with the person with the gun!
Joanna, get back and keep the camera on him. Go hands on. She said go hands on.
You will be shot. I will construe that as a threat. Get on the ground now! Get on the ground now! You get back! Step back! Put that camera on, get back! Get back! I'm not gonna tell you, get back, man! Get out of the way! We're dealing with a man with a gun right here!
Don't touch me!
We are dealing with a man with a gun. Move out of the way and get
Why
back!
are you touching me?
We are dealing with a person with a gun.
Why are you touching me?
I noticed that he's slapping at her camera arm repetitively.
Yeah, in fact, she came out with a large bruise from this incident.
I need to see that again, and I can't wait to slow this down and run it in slow motion and show it to my viewers later.
Okay.
But
I backed it up here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Get on the ground now! You get back! Step back! Put that camera on, get back! Get back! I'm not gonna tell you, get back, man! Get out of the way! We're dealing with a man with a gun right here!
Don't touch me!
We are dealing with a man with a gun. Move out of the way and get
Why
back!
are you touching me?
We are dealing with a person with a gun.
Why are you touching me?
Get back, asshole!
We're dealing.
Man, she's got some big old brass ones on her. I mean, they're like, you know, putting most men I know to shame. She's like, just stop touching me. You know, like her voice isn't getting like, you know, you don't hear any fear in her voice. I mean, just gangster behavior right here. I'm just so impressed.
Joanna, get back and keep the camera on him. Go hands on. She said go hands on.
Put your hand behind your back, sir.
I will comply, sir.
Why do you have a gun, sir?
Are you conducting an investigation?
Yes, sir, but put your hand behind your back now.
I'm going to reserve my right to remain silent.
Okay, guys, y'all see this? Y'all see this? He threw my phone. He pushed me. He knocked this camera off my hands.
Sir, there was just recently a horrible shooting in Florida.
Yeah, I saw that very clearly. He was slapping at her camera, and I can't wait to slow it down because I'm pretty sure I saw a couple frames of his hand on the camera. But, wow.
You went for that. He slapped twice at that camera. You see the hand pass twice in the same direction within that short period of about 15 seconds.
Fucking hog, afraid of a woman with a cell phone in her hand.
Cell phone and a camcorder.
You're also out to close business after hours. I don't know if you're trying to burglarize this business. They got very expensive items in and about this business.
You see this shit, guys?
That's absolutely retarded. No one is going to burglarize a business with a rifle. Okay, career criminals, people that do B&Es, understand that if you commit a crime with a weapon, all you're doing is increasing your charges. Like, I know, I've been around, you know, outlaw type people my entire freaking life, and that's just laughable.
Yeah, and the thing is with that is also usually it turns it into an automatic felony, and so you're looking at minimum just 1 year straight up, where a standard B&E with no weapons, you probably, if you're lucky, you can get away with like 6 months.
Right. People that commit those sorts of crimes are very, it's very, the salient fact in their mind that they're increasing their risk and, you know, their liability is increased if they carry a weapon to do it. So they don't. It's just really dumb. He's just making up excuses for being, for overreacting. Like this is just cowardly. That's what it is.
What gets even better, there was someone that has in chat. Wow, it's really kicking up here, or it's lagging here, but someone had a really good comment on my chat, and so I had to go back to my chat window here. Give it a second to catch up. But someone had a really good comment, and I wanted to read that. Okay, I know why I can't see it. It's freaking not on live chat. Okay, up, where was it?
Yeah, and people open carry all the time in Texas, and 9 times out of 10, they don't react like this. Or actually, 1 out of every 100 times they react like this.
This comment was made by Mad Cat. So concerned about a man with a gun, he wanders to a lady with a camera first.
Very good point.
That is an excellent point, Mad Cat. Okay.
Yeah, man. I mean, see, the camera is the people's voice, and you know, that's the most dangerous thing, is the ability to accurately document their behavior.
Oh yeah. Come on, play. There we go.
Are we? And it was loaded. Good for you. Is that against the law to have a loaded handgun? Not until we figure out your intentions. My intentions are to keep the area safe. That's what we have. That's what we're out.
Come on, pause. Pause.
Yeah. The officer's obviously wearing a body camera, so that footage needs to be. See the.
He's in handcuffs. Man, step back. Yeah, she doesn't have to.
Step back, sir. Put your hand on your breast.
Okay. 2 things. First off, well, I'll go off on the most recent. We got an armed guy. He's detained. You disarmed him. You're putting him in handcuffs. He's no longer a danger to the community. Yeah, they don't want to be documented. They don't want to have their conversation recorded. This is why people need to be filming with these police interactions. This is the part of the reason why I do cop watching kind of stuff. This stuff sometimes needs to be documented, because either someone's gonna make a bad statement, a really bad statement that's gonna exonerate or help out the other party quite often. And then on top of that, the thing is, oh, we're gonna arrest you, whatever. We're gonna determine your intentions. Guess what? The act of carrying a firearm is not illegal in itself and not justification for suspicion of a detention. There is a case law on this. I think it went all the way to SCOTUS, if I remember correctly. I have to look it back up because it's been a year and a half since I last read it. But nonetheless, there is federal case law on that issue.
Yeah, I want to mention something too, is that when cops threaten people, menace them with long rifles or pistols, you can get them fired. Okay, I was the state of Missouri's star witness against Officer Ray Elbers of St. Anne Police Department in St. Anne, Missouri, and he menaced journalists with a camera the same way that this pig just aimed this weapon at this woman and then started slapping her camera, you know. So this is the kind of stuff that gets cops having their insurance bond license yanked away from them, so they can't be pigs anymore.
Yeah, as is, when we go back, if you go back and look at it, she was already in the process of moving away from it so she can get it all in frame. Because if she's right on top of it, it's not all going to be in frame. And when you step back a good 10 feet, you can get all the stuff that's going on within frame of both the camcorder and the cell phone. The cell phones usually have a wide angle lens kind of thing, so it covers a lot larger area than a camcorder. It's very much more narrow on the view, but nonetheless, making sure you are able to get both of that in the shot, on both those cameras, is important. You got to make sure you know what your field of view is with those 2 things in order to do it. And she was doing exactly what she needed to do to document it, and they did not like the fact that she was going to stop and document that. She had the camera going, she had her cell phone going, and that's why that officer went up there and tried to smack both of those out of her hand, maybe damage them or they couldn't do their function anymore, because she was going to document them doing wrongdoing. And
now,
go ahead.
I recall hearing her say that you slapped the camera out of my hand, so it may have hit the ground and she bended over and picked up the cell phone. I don't know, but I saw him slap at her camera twice. Now, just to reiterate, I I hope that this cop gets fired like I helped get Ray Elbers fired in St. Anne, Missouri. Like, this is just crazy. And I need to scrub through the video and go through it one frame at a time. And if that cop's finger was inside the trigger guard when he's aiming that weapon at that woman that he clearly identified, you know, he could see her point blank range holding cameras. If he would have accidentally stumbled or tripped while he had that rifle pointed at her, she could have been killed by accident.
And it makes me wonder, does this guy have any proper training to be walking with the firearm like that? Has he gone through any training on that kind of issue? Because for me, judging from the weight and all that stuff, I don't think this guy, I think this guy is just got on the force and then pegged out after he passed the physical and hasn't had to worry since, and probably doesn't even have proper, I mean, like entry training or anything like that, I suspect.
God, who knows? Like, I have a decent grasp of the way the police training works in the city I live in, and it's also radically different everywhere. Like, they go by different kind of use of force continuum models to use in their escalating of force and what's within their policy and what isn't. And it's a very complex issue because it's all different per town.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead and check out a few other things here. Well, after we're finished with this one. But yeah, and this, she got a warrant issued for her arrest because of this incident here. They issued a warrant for her arrest because of this incident, for obstructing a police officer. That is very important. And we're almost done with this. We're at pretty much the 3-minute mark of a 5-minute video here. So.
No, sir, that's still extremely close. Actually, she's on video. As long as she's not armed, I'm not worried about it. Step up, step up, step up. Can I take it down? No, city business after it's closed. City ordinance violation. Oh, on the sidewalk? No, you were in the parking lot when we rolled up, sir. Okay.
Fucking jackasses.
Yeah, Joanna, I love you. I think you're amazing. Like, you know, I would like to aspire to have your courage, and that's all I got to say about this.
All right, they took Jack. They took Jack, guys.
Now I ask you, everyone, they drove off. At one point, did she interfere with the officer's ability to do an arrest? Tell me, at what point?
No, the Texas Penal Code says that talking is not interfering. It actually says it outright, that speaking isn't interfering, and that it has to be physical. You have to physically touch them. And the officer aimed a weapon at her and threatened her with lethal force and slapped at her repetitively as she stood still and then backed away. You know, she didn't advance on them. Just ridiculous. Cowards. Cowards.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, I mean, this is the levels of corruption that Ferguson had. And other nearby town over there by St. Louis. And St. Louis PD is also not a bunch of angels, that's for sure. Oh, no. This is just insane levels. And I mean, this gives more emphasis on why people go around the country exercising their civil rights. Because they discover problem police departments like Olmos Park here. Olmos Park is a textbook example of a really bad police department that does not like people for their political stances.
You know,
Go ahead.
I really wish I had the money to fly down there. These cops would love me. They'd love me. We'd be best buds.
If I wasn't dealing with freaking Springfield criminal cases right now, I would have raised the money. I would be down there, and you know my fun little outfits and all that other stuff, where I would be joining the open carry and scat guys in some open carry marches. You know that.
I just want to go down there and cover them because I am very good at being someone's backup camera person. I would love to just document from further away, you know, a few paces back behind them, and cover everything really clearly. That way these cops would get the maximum amount of, you know, the people's boot in their ass. And I don't mean violence, I mean through the court system.
Yeah, well, and then news now, Tennessee. The arrest is to slow down the civil suit. That may be, but every single time they throw up further and further roadblocks on a potential civil suit, when the civil suit gets thrown down, guess what? It increases the damages. You throw on more additional false charges, guess what? That's more financial penalty that the city itself will face when it gets charged. And as is the way things are going, we're not just looking at the police department itself. We probably may see grounds against the mayor and maybe the city council themselves too when it comes to the civil case. There'll be further justifications. Obviously, this is not just coming from the police chief. It's political for sure.
Oh, absolutely, it's political, and you're right. It all increases potential damages that can be claimed. And also, you know, when you have more than 2 people involved, then you're starting to look at conspiracy against rights charges. And these are federal charges like that you could have in the courts. These are federal laws that are potentially being broken. Conspiracy against rights. If you just Google that, you'll find what I'm talking about. And these cops can be put in prison for a year or fined, I think, not more than $10,000 or whatever. If someone dies, if someone is killed while their rights are being conspired against, it's a death penalty. So that's one of the only ways that cops could get the death penalty for killing somebody, is if though you could prove that they were committing conspiracy against rights. So this is all just very interesting stuff here, people.
Yeah, and you know what? It would be really interesting is to sit down at the next city council meeting that is happening in that town and have everybody that is against what's going on with that police department to show up and voice their opinion. Imagine how the city council would react to that when they have the open up for public comments and stuff like that. If they have that option. Some towns, if it's not on the agenda, they won't allow you to talk about it. But if they do, that would be a great time and place to show up. Not armed or anything like that. Just show up to the city council meeting and voice your opinion. I think doesn't that happen quite often up in Portland there, where there's some big issue going on and a bunch of like activists and people will show up at the city council meeting and light them up.
Sure, there's something called open communications at the city council, and you can sign up. It takes a couple weeks for your name to come up, but you can sign up and get your 2 minutes that's broadcast on public access TV. I just want to read something, okay? And I'm going to cut and paste it into the chat room. But I'm looking up the Cornell Law School's Title 18 U.S. Code 241, Conspiracy Against Rights. Now listen to this. If 2 or more persons go in disguise or on the highway or in the premises of another with intent to prevent or hinder his exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured by the U.S. Constitution, they shall be fined under the title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. And if death results from the act, the violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or attempting to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or life or both, or may be sentenced to death. And it's basically if they can prove in court, in federal court, if they file a federal suit, that the cops conspired to hinder their open carry rights, you know, they can possibly be in prison for 10 years. Now, if they accidentally kill one of these, or on purpose intentionally kill or accidentally kill, either or, one of these open carry people, they're looking at a potential death sentence. Now, qualified immunity protects cops from almost any kind of violent act, except that I've been able to find, except when it comes to you know, conspiracy against rights charges. And you know, let's continue watching the video.
Well, that's the end of that one. But yeah, I was pointing out that yeah, they really messed up with that entire case there.
Oh, absolutely.
And this has been going on for months. I mean, the only reason why it's blowing up now is because the bigger players are stepping in. Open Carry Texas is getting involved, as we saw with CJ Grisham getting hemmed up there and tased. And why the heck? Man, what is going on with this page? I'm gonna try to it's lagging like crazy. I'm gonna refresh this page here, so it's acting up. I'm not sure if it's just my bandwidth or is it the site itself. When you hit the pause and play button, has it been lagging for you by a couple of seconds?
Yes.
Okay, so it's definitely them on that part. So it looks like we might have multiple issues going on here. All right. Oops. Stop playing. Yeah. Are you skipping around in it? Or
no.
Okay. Now there was one other thing that I was trying to pull up. I think I have to back this up here.
Man, I am so angry, like, just watching this happen, because I mean, I don't have anything really in common with any of these people. I don't know any of these open carry people, aside from the fact that I love liberty. You know, I don't know any of them personally, but I understand that when pigs come to usurp anyone's civil rights, they're coming for mine next.
All right, and now this is a compilation from PNP News that was put out at the beginning of the month, well, a couple weeks ago there, and this sort of gives a better idea of what we're going for, and this is gives emphasis on, towards the end, it's quite telling.
The Olmos Park police chief saying they follow the rule of law.
Sarah, I'm going to pull that up actually next.
What are y'all doing?
No, what are you doing?
No, what are y'all doing?
Okay.
Why are you handcuffing him?
Just...
Why are you handcuffing him?
I don't know. Talk to him about that.
Him, why are you handcuffing him?
Listen to me.
What?
Why?
I'm sorry, is he under arrest?
Hey, hold on. He says that
he asked me a question.
We got 911. Okay, talk to me. Okay, talk to me.
We'll let him go.
Listen.
Okay.
Talk to me.
Okay.
You're not listening, okay?
Mike, close your mouth. Don't say a word.
What are you doing?
Don't speak.
Okay, talk to me.
What are you guys?
I wish that pig would take off that gang insignia around his little right hoof there. That's really getting on my nerves.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're the one out here.
Did he break the law?
Okay.
Yes or no?
You're not listening to what I'm telling you.
Did he break the law? Am I being taken?
No.
Okay.
Come on, man. Let's not play this game, man.
He's not breaking the law. Take the cuffs off.
He is not breaking the law. Take the handcuffs off. He is not breaking the law. Take the handcuffs off. Mike, tell him you do not consent to a search.
I don't consent to search. Can somebody here tell me why he is in handcuffs? Anybody? You want to try again? Because he's not breaking the law. That's why you don't have an answer. You can't you handcuffing people that aren't breaking the law. I have a gun. Why am I not in handcuffs? You need a license. You need a license for mine. Do I have to show you a license to carry?
Yes, you do. Let me see your license to carry then. Let me see your permit.
Under what law do I have to show you an ID to carry?
You have to show me under license to carry on the
Texas says
yes,
that I have an obligation, but there is no criminal penalty. I do not commit an offense if I refuse.
But if I see that handgun, I don't know who you are. I
took your handgun license class, and you're an idiot.
Let me.
Oh yeah. What you're talking about?
Let me see that permit, please.
See, this guy teaches a handgun class, and I.
Oink, 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 slop, slop, slop. You can almost hear the, like, you know, the feces, like, pouring out of this pig's forehead and mouth and just, so nasty.
Took his class. He's an idiot.
Yeah, that detective there, he runs does classes for the, getting your CHL.
The Olmos Park police chief saying they follow the rule of law.
Olmos Park, Texas. That's O-L-M-O-S Park, Texas. I'm going to be open carrying. This is that department that thinks that they can just walk up to anyone, anytime, for any reason, and start searching them. Handcuffed tyrants, specifically Hector Ruiz, and his little cronies that follow orders. So the purpose of being out here today is to teach them that there's 3 ways that you can search someone. With their consent, you can search them with their consent. You can also search them if you arrest them. That's called incident to an arrest. But arrests are made on probable cause only, not reasonable suspicion. And third, last but not least, with a search warrant that's issued by a judge that says that you can search a person. And those search warrants are issued upon probable cause. All those things are guaranteed and put forth in the Constitution. And these guys, well, they don't subscribe to that Constitution. They will. This is a class. I'm gonna give them a little education. Today I have my AR-15. I have a magazine. The dust cover's closed. The only way you can tell if this is loaded is if you search it.
Oh man, here we go.
Sir, let me see your hands now. You reach for that weapon, you will be shot. I will construe that as a threat. Get on the ground now! Get on the ground now!
Saw this already.
Put that camera on, get back! Get back! I'm not gonna tell you. Get back, man! Get out of the way!
Don't
get out of the gun right
Don't touch me!
We are dealing with a man with a gun.
Yeah, you're right. It got smacked out of her hand. She had to reach down and grab it.
We're dealing with a person with a gun.
Get back and keep the camera on him.
Yeah, he obviously slapped the camera to the ground. We can tell now.
Go hands on.
Put your hands on your back. I won't comply, sir. Why do you have a gun, sir?
Are you conducting an investigation?
Yes, sir, but put your hand behind your back now.
I'm going to preserve my right to remain silent.
Okay, guys, y'all see this? Y'all see this? He threw my phone. He pushed me. He knocked this camera off my hands.
Sir, there was just recently a horrible shooting in Florida. You're carrying around a gun. I don't know what your intention is, but if it's the law, we don't know your intention. You're also in a closed business after hours. I don't know if you're trying to burglarize this business. They got very expensive items in and about this business.
You see this shit, guys?
Okay, last time I checked, you know, a semi-automatic rifle is not a burglary tool. Now, maybe if this guy was like, you know, wearing a ski mask and had a crowbar and a little backpack, and he looked like, you know, a little raccoon mask or whatever. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and you're not going to use a rifle to shoot out locks. It's counterproductive. No. You use a shotgun for that.
Maybe the dumb pig thought that he was going to pry his way into the building with the rifle stock. Maybe he was going to try to, you know, pry the door open with the rifle. That's possible.
Okay, I'm going to skip this past this because we already seen all of this stuff earlier. Okay, here we go.
The Olmos Park police chief saying they follow the rule of law.
Fuck it, I'm live streaming, bro.
What do you want? What do you want?
Drop the sign.
Drop the sign?
Drop the sign.
Why?
I'm telling you, drop the sign.
I guess that cardboard is weaponized. Weaponized cardboard. It's a threat. Drop the sign.
Am I being detained?
Drop the sign.
Yes or no? Am I being detained? Drop the sign?
Drop the sign.
If I'm not under arrest, I don't have to do anything you say.
Drop the sign.
You have your gun out?
Yes, I do.
Is that a lawful?
Drop the sign.
Is that a lawful order?
Drop the sign.
You guys are stupid.
That's fine. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Here.
Hands spread out.
Got it.
Two cups is an inch of my shoulder, even more than you did it last time. I have to rotate a step injury. What can I do for you anyway?
I have to point out that the camera angles that these open carry activists are shooting from is just perfect. These guys, this is textbook. If I were teaching a PowerPoint presentation on how to cop watch or document police encounters, I would use this in that presentation. I mean, this needs to be looked at as a model for other people that want to film these kind of interactions.
Oh, yeah.
Two bucks, you're going to injure my shoulder even more than you did it last time. I have a rotator cuff injury. What can I do for you anyway?
Got an extra pair of clothes?
Everyone that's a fan of my YouTube channel, I need you to call this police department and tell them what you think of them. And don't hold back. You know, I want you to express yourselves, you know, like tell them what you think of this kind of treatment of people when they're engaged in lawful behavior.
What's your side? Bring your knees up to your chest.
Right, so we're on camera.
Guys, I have no fucking idea what just happened.
It's wrong video. There is one other one I wanted to play that, where was it? Give me a moment to look for it. But there is one where they actually were reading the law. Oh, here it is. This is the one I wanted to bring in. That had the part that I was looking for. Search it up. cue this up.
Good. How are y'all? I'm Corporal Fleming with Olmos Park Police Department.
Oh, how are you?
No, I'm kind of new. I've been here about 3 years.
I'm Jack.
Jack? Are you familiar? I know you're familiar with your right to carry the weapon for our city ordinance.
How do you know that?
How do I know that?
I'm familiar with my rights. You heard grapevine?
I'm assuming that you're going to know your rights by carrying the rifle or the shotgun. The city ordinance includes a loaded weapon as in the shell or shells in your magazine.
Interesting.
Having shells or shells in your magazine, no issues with that.
Now you've heard the phrase, this rifle without a shell in it would be nothing but a baseball bat, right?
Correct.
That's why. Do you have a round in the chamber of your gun?
Yes.
Okay.
But our city ordinance is worded only a newly sworn peace officer may carry, openly carry a rifle or a shotgun. And I would say a reasonable person would assume that you're not going to carry an empty weapon, like you said, because it's usually a baseball bat.
I think it would be highly advisable if you're going to carry a weapon, a handgun, a rifle, a shotgun, a bow and arrow, that you not carry them loaded. I think that would be probably the
Or shotgun shall can be considered loaded if it contains a shell or shells and either authorized peace officer to carry a loaded rifle or loaded shotgun on any public street within the city. A rifle or shotgun shall can be considered loaded if it contains a shell or shells in either barrel or magazine.
Okay. You do understand that state law preempts that and makes that ordinance 100% inarguably invalid. You understand that, correct, Sergeant?
I'm Corporal Fleming.
He's a corporal.
But I hear what you're saying, so...
You're Corporal Fleming? Okay.
Correct. There's two of us here.
Okay, if you hear what I'm saying and you understand that state law preempts that ordinance, then why are you writing this man a ticket for it?
Because he's in violation of our city ordinance.
You're invalid city ordinance. That legally does not exist.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Okay, we're done.
Well, I understand.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for these activists that are trying to learn how to speak Paganese. You know, their interspecies communication skills are really good, and they're trying really hard to understand these guttural oinks and grunts and just wow. Like, hats off to these activists.
David, yeah, I'll listen to it now.
Okay, yeah, let him read. Keep the phone up there, Todd.
It says, it shall be unlawful for any person other than a duly authorized peace officer to carry a loaded rifle or loaded shotgun on any public street within the city. A rifle or shotgun shall can be considered loaded if it contains a shell or shells in either barrel or magazine.
Okay. You do understand that state law preempts that and makes that ordinance 100% inarguably invalid. You understand that, correct, Sergeant?
I'm Corporal Fleming.
He's a corporal.
But I hear what you're saying, so...
You're Corporal Fleming? Okay.
Correct. There's two of us here.
Okay, if you hear what I'm saying and you understand that state law preempts that ordinance, then why are you writing this man a ticket for it?
Because he's in violation of our city ordinance.
You're invalid city ordinance. That legally does not exist.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Okay, we're done.
Well, I
Yeah.
understand
You have a good
you're
night.
argue with me. Just understand this.
You have your driver's license
This man's right
yeah,
is
just the
not
attorney
going
card.
to go away. It's not going to be allowed.
The attorney card?
Hey, they're not. They're not listening to you anymore, bro.
Yeah. Literally, they go and educate them. They go out there and attempt to educate the cops that respond on the issue, and they refuse to learn and obey the actual law that holds higher precedent and power over their city ordinance. PNP News. I am not going to argue means I am not. I'm wrong, but I'm a good Nazi and do what I'm told. But yeah, it is definitely not good. Did I lose Mike there? Is he still here?
No,
Okay.
I'm still here. Now, the correct pronunciation of this town is Olmos Park, Texas, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of half paying attention to my chat because I have a bunch of windows open. But I send them the City Hall phone number. I'm seeing that people are saying that's the phone number for the Texas Rangers. No, it ain't. Olmos Park is a suburb of San Antonio, right?
Yeah, it's somewhere within San Antonio. And also to further add, San Antonio was in similar hot water because they had an ordinance similar to Olmos Park where you could not have a round in the chamber, which was in violation, of course, of the state law. And there was huge push against them by Open Carry Texas and a few of the activists that are involved in that area on that issue, and they stopped enforcing it. I don't know if they pulled that law off the books. I haven't heard they did pull the law off the books. I think it still exists as a zombie law, but nonetheless, San Antonio already went through this hoopla. Why the hell is Olmos Park wanting to die on this anthill where they're potentially risking bankrupting the city to the point where it will have to disband itself when this hits the civil court side of things? Because at this point, I think it was Texas Sheepdog already stated in a live stream that they are pushing a civil lawsuit. And it's going to be several civil lawsuits at this point. Especially when the head of Open Carry Texas got tased and bloodied for this exact issue.
Yeah, I just don't see how this is in conformity with their use of force policy. It doesn't make logical sense that their use of force continuum is that you know, people, if they're open carrying, you can tase them. Like, that's supposed to be a, you know, weapon that they use to defend themselves. You know, it's not supposed to be used to force people to comply. You know, if you compare their use of force to Portland, like, I'm just going to guess that they're similar, but wow, this is just, it boggles the mind that they can make this logical leap that it's okay to do this to people when they're engaging in, you know, lawful activity, not making furtive movements, end quote. I mean, it's not like they're reaching in their back pocket. They're standing there holding a camera in their hands, so they're not touching their weapons. You know, it's just, wow. It beggars belief.
Yeah, it's just amazing at how much BS that it has been is around this kind of stuff. The blatant breaking of civil rights laws and stuff like that around this is just so insane. I don't know what the police chief thinks about. Oh, that's right. We need to see Jan. I need to look up that thing. The chief's police chief thing. Okay, he called the police chief. Let's see if I can find it here. Ah, okay. Oops, dang it. Back it up. It should be on his main channel here. 1 day, 3 weeks. Did he pull it down? Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to pull it from News Now Patrick, because it looks like he's got a copy of that. Ooh, ripped it from the Batosai, actually. So, where is the Batosai? Here it is. So, I'll get that posted in here, and we get to listen to CJ Grisham phone call here. Let's see, this call was placed hours before Jim was arrested, while CJ Grisham was tased and arrested. It states.
Open Carry, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I've been trying to get a hold of you guys. I sent an open records request and I haven't heard from anybody.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, is there because we're almost up on the 10 days.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I mean, are y'all looking into that, or what's going on with that?
Absolutely, sir. We are looking into it.
Okay. So with that said as well, I'm trying to find out also what were the issues with this open carry stuff and why we've got members that are being drawn down on. Is that policy?
Well, let me see how I can answer that too. That's going to satisfy your answer. So I can't get into the specifics with regards to certain individuals that we have criminal cases pending or we have offenses that are pending. I'm well aware that Texas is an open carry state. I'm well aware of that. So
okay.
Outside of that parameters, was there another question that you needed answered?
Well, yeah. I don't need specific. I'm not asking for specific cases. My main question is if a person is open carrying, is it policy to pull out a firearm? Is it policy for your officers to threaten individuals with their firearms? I guess is my question. Is that the policy, or how do you guys deal with open carriers? What's the policy?
Well, again, Texas is an open carry state, so we're well aware of the fact that it's legally, it is legal for a person to carry a handgun on their person, provided that they have a license and they're not committing any criminal activity. We are aware that is legal.
That's again, Chief. That's not my question.
Okay.
You're skirting my question. Is it policy?
I'm not skirting your question. I'm answering your question.
No, you didn't answer it at all. I specifically asked, is it your policy to respond to open carry by your officers pulling their handguns and threatening a citizen? That's my
no.
That's
obviously,
my question.
Yeah. Obviously, that's not anyone's policy to do that, including ours.
So then, as the chief, are you addressing the fact that some of your officers did that?
Well, I address issues that need to be addressed. If there's not an issue that needs to be addressed, then obviously I'm not going to address that issue.
Do you consider that to be an issue that you need to address?
I don't think it's an issue that I need to address. Again, you get one side. You get one side of the story. You don't know the whole side of the story.
I know the whole side of the story. I've seen unedited video. I've seen the entire thing.
That's your prerogative, and that's your opinion. And
so you don't. Just to clarify. Just to clarify, you don't think there's an issue with your officers unholstering their handguns and threatening a citizen who is doing nothing but having a holstered handgun and that's it?
Once again, I'll say it again. I am not talking about a specific incident with regard.
I'm not either. I'm talking about general policy. I'm telling
you, general policy. Texas is an open carry state. Provided that you have a license to carry a handgun and you're not committing any criminal activity, you don't have anything to worry about.
Well, apparently we do. That's my concern. That's why we're getting involved. Because
but that's your opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion, sir.
Well, I find it very disconcerting that the chief doesn't care that his officers are literally unholstering their handguns without a perceived threat. I mean, that boggles my mind that you don't think that's a problem.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And again, you're entitled to your opinion. I respect your opinion. Everybody has an opinion.
Okay, so if I come to Olmos Park and I'm open carrying a handgun or a rifle, am I going to be shot dead?
I'm not even going to entertain that question, sir. That's not even a reasonable question.
It is a reasonable question. If your officers are pulling guns on people who are open carrying, that's a very reasonable question. Am I going to be forced on my face if I open carry there at gunpoint?
I'm not even going to respond to that question, sir. That's a very unreasonable question. Yeah.
Well, in light of what's actually happening,
how in the hell is that unreasonable to have multiple cases on video where you can clearly see that they're forcing people onto the ground, when you can see that they're, like, you know, dropping people's heads on concrete like a honey baked ham? I mean, that didn't sound pleasant. I mean, when CJ's head hit the asphalt, I heard that meaty thunk, meaty thump that you can only hear when you punch somebody square in the face. Like, wow. No, that's not unreasonable, you pig. That's logical. This is what you're in charge of the pig pen. You know, your barnyard animals are breaking through the fence and they're rooting through the vegetables and they're like damaging property. You need to do something about your unchecked animals.
Chief, it's not unreasonable at all. I mean, I do plan to come there, and I'm afraid that you guys are going to threaten me and put me on my face at gunpoint for doing nothing more than exercise.
No. They didn't put him on his face. They put him on the back of his head on the pavement with a lot of force. Thank you, Taser.
In my rights, and you just said it's lawful in Texas. So why are officers unholstering guns when people do it? Do you unholster guns when people eat an ice cream cone? That's legal.
Well, let me give you an example, if you permit me here, unrelated to a handgun.
Sure.
Drinking alcohol in Texas is legal, would you say, provided that you meet the age requirement?
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
We're in agreement there.
Absolutely.
And we're in agreement that if you reach a certain level of intoxication and you're driving a motor vehicle in Texas, that would be illegal, correct?
That's illegal.
Okay. Same principle here. Again, that's why I told you. We're aware of the open carry in Texas, and we're aware that it is legal, provided that you have a license to carry a handgun and you're not committing any other criminal activity. You don't have a problem. We have San Antonio is a population of over 1 million point something people in San Antonio, and we don't have a problem with the majority of the people that come through with an open carry or concealed carry with a rifle or a shotgun. We just don't have that problem.
Wrong! Yeah, okay. As is, there is tons of video footage at this point that has been recorded. Only a part of it, a portion of it, has been released. As is, there's a bunch of unshown footage of them overreacting over someone walking with an open carrying with either a handgun or a rifle, and if I showed up, I would be doing a sword and rifle, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I have something to say here. My eye's twitching. I just got to get this off my chest. Here's the thing, right? The way that these cops think is like the same mentality of a date rapist. It's like, okay, Lady Liberty is being bent over and given the high hard one without consent right now. Like, she's being just straight plowed, like gang plowed. And it's like a rapist saying, hey, you know, I just took her up to the room and gave her a roofie and, you know, viciously raped her, but I don't have a problem with consent. Just wow.
Yeah.
I guess I disagree because I wouldn't be calling you if there wasn't one. But let me go back to your drinking analogy. If someone is sitting at the Olive Garden just drinking a beer and no signs of intoxication, are you going to arrest them?
Well, obviously, I mean, if there's nothing going on there for us to address, then no. Well, why on earth would we do that? I mean, there's many places here, but
it's legal, right?
In Olmos Park, yeah, it's legal to consume alcohol. Yes.
Okay.
That's why I came out and I said it first.
And it's legal to open carry as well, but yet for open carry, you guys are showing up in force, and for drinking, you're not. So I'm trying to figure out why one legal activity is kind of
I never said that we're not showing up for the people. I'll give you an example. Provided, I mean, we know that it's legal, but there's always restrictions and parameters on anything. Would you agree?
Well, yeah. So what are the parameters that were violated? I get what parameters would I have to violate in order to have police pull up on me with their guns unholstered?
No, it's not nothing to do with that. I'm simply saying you're talking about open carry in Texas. There's certain places that you cannot open carry. Would you agree with it?
Okay, I'm
certain places that you can go to with open carry.
Okay, I'm talking about lawful. I'm not talking about going into school zones or. I'm talking about me just walking down the road, minding my own business, not going through school zones, not in a bar, not where I'm not allowed to be. I'm talking about just plain old exercising my rights peacefully, smiling, waving at people, holding a sign maybe.
I've already answered that question. Texas is an open carry state. You can legally carry a handgun in Texas, provided you have a handgun license to do so, and you're not committing any criminal activity.
Okay. So is it your policy to stop people to check their licenses?
That just depends on the circumstances that surround that. it's hard for me to tell you in a hypothetical situation.
No, it's not a
In
hypothetical.
general, does this happen? Yes, it is a hypothetical.
No,
There's plenty of variables in between there that you may be unaware of.
Okay, I can't believe I have to dumb this down this way. I'm talking generally nothing else. There's no other variables but a person open carrying. Is it your policy to stop and identify that person and check their license? There doesn't have
You're
to be
You're asking me a hypothetical situation.
Oh my gosh, Chief, come on, don't play the politics game.
I'm not playing the politics game. You asked me a question. I've addressed your issue.
It's not a hypothetical. It's not.
Here's the thing, and someone pointed this out, not even halfway through this. This police chief is playing the politics game with the speaking. He's being evasive as hell when it comes to answering the question. He can't give a straight answer on the issue because he knows if he says no, he's lying his ass off. And he obviously can't say yes. Because it makes him look bad. Go ahead.
Agreed, Bunny. And also, if you listen carefully, this pig's not even taking what he's saying seriously to himself. You can hear him, like, smirking, like, and he's on the verge of laughter every time he evades the any kind of direct answer. Like, the cop's not even taking himself seriously. It's so bad.
Yeah,
it's so transparent, staring into the face of transparent evil.
And Harry Balzania has a great comment here. Letting a cop continue with an analogy is allowing him to insert straw man. Never do it. We are talking about this is not an incident, not an imaginary one. The chief is winning. Actually, not really. But the analogy he did pick is a shit analogy. It is literally the worst comparison because when it comes to drinking, it is it is in some situations more regulated than it is for firearms ownership and the ability to do open carry and stuff like that. You can't, in majority places, you can't walk around the streets with an open container. That will get you at least a ticket, kind of thing. That's part of the reason why you have the paper bag test, the Fourth Amendment test with that kind of thing, where you got someone sitting there, they got a regular soda or drink, and it's in a paper bag. And we see if the Fourth Amendment is respected in that regard. Which Sean Thomas pretty much was doing really well effectively. I don't think he was the first person to really do it. I'm not 100% sure. He might be. But nonetheless, he's shown the how bad the NYPD is on the issue of the Fourth Amendment around that issue. And has hemmed up the cops greatly in the courts over those kinds of issues.
I don't know if this is true or not. I'd like to see some research on it, but I've been here in my chat room is saying that in Texas you can go into a bar and check your shotgun. Apparently they have a little lockbox or something. That would be funny. Like, that would be awesome if they did that or provided that service.
Yeah, I would. I've been here. If you can send us a citation for that or something like that when you have a chance of that actually happening, or a law for that, that would be awesome. Or at least a business that a business that actually does that. I love to have that, because who knows, maybe we can convince Open Carry Texas and some other open carry activists to do a party or something like that, or have a huge get together at that bar. Imagine the amount of business we could drive in that direction just to show support of that kind of policy. Would be quite entertaining. So, but let's go ahead and finish this off since there's just about a minute left.
Not a hypothetical at all. People open carry every day. When people are open carrying, absent any other articulable suspicion, probable cause, just open carrying. This isn't a hypothetical. I'm not saying, okay, a person's open carrying and he happens to have the gun in his hand. No. He's got a holstered handgun in accordance with state law in a belt or shoulder holster, absent anything else. Is it your policy to stop and identify those individuals?
No. Obviously, no. We have encountered many people with open carry.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, I'm still a little flabbergasted that you don't think it's necessary to investigate pulling guns on people for open carrying. But I do look forward.
Yeah, so that, I mean, is straight up very telling of the mentality of the police department there. It shows a great, Olmos Park is beyond, I mean, description of how out of control they are. And I'm gonna add this statement in. The thing is, there are some things I don't agree with people when it comes to civil rights exercise and stuff like that, but I still see a value, need, or reason behind it, because it can expose bad police departments, bad towns, bad public mentality. Morro Bay being another example of exposure that has been brought about from activists showing up and just randomly doing filming at a police department, where literally the police chief physically assaulted the activists, and then the city pulled shenanigans and said, oh, we investigated ourselves, we hired an independent investigator to do it, when it really, in reality, it was, okay, we're just trying to make it look like the guy didn't do anything wrong, and say it, and we went through the right hoops, but it's pretty obvious they just hired someone they knew and said, hey, it looked like you investigated this, and say he's not guilty.
Yeah, Bunny, you're touching on the intrinsic value of cop watching and auditing and First Amendment testers. It's the fact that the few stands up and pushes the limits of exercising rights and, you know, risking arrest, risking being shot by the police, risking destruction of their property. And as activists, we do this from an animus and a want to live in a better society. And I think a lot of times that gets glanced over by our detractors. And folks on the internet are always throwing this at me and other activists. You know, you should walk a mile in their shoes. No, I don't want to take a job that's predicated on constantly threatening people and coercing them and stealing money from them. No, I don't want to do that. You know, it's not incumbent on the person that's criticizing anyone to walk a mile in their shoes to have a legitimate redress of grievance. That's just ridiculous and antithetical to logic. And, you know, I'm just very thankful of the people in the, quote, liberty movement and these open carry activists for standing up for my liberties.
Yeah, and it's not just, and it's just not with the open carry either in the First Amendment testing. There's also street preaching. Street preaching, well, I don't agree with a lot of religious people, beliefs and all that stuff, but it still is an important civil right that people have, and we've seen street preachers get hemmed up by police and towns with really bad ordinances and stuff like that, where if you're just using an unamplified voice, well, you're using a just your voice and maybe like a cone or whatever, that could be a violation of an ordinance and get you hemmed up. Or even just saying, I mean, being too loud. They'll literally show up with a decibel meter trying to see if you're way too loud and try to hem you up in that issue. There is many aspects of civil rights that need to be exercised and done in a lot of places to ensure that law enforcement and the towns and municipalities and the counties are abiding by people's civil rights that are established not just within the federal constitution, but in the state constitutions as well. Those civil rights are there for a reason, and we should make sure that those rights are not taken away from us. Because guess what? Though, granted that we call them inalienable rights, if something were to change, where something, it's like all of a sudden we get the wrong people in power, they do a coup d'etat and throw out the Constitution. It's not impossible. It can happen. It's up to the people to defend the actual founding documents of the nation that gives them their civil rights, that gives them the freedom of speech, gives them the right to bear arms, the right to be immune from the unlawful searches and seizures with the Fourth Amendment there. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bunny, I got to weigh in here. And you know, I understand the intrinsic value of the spirit of the contract with the people of the United States, the Constitution. But I mean, you know, I don't think the Constitution or the Bill of Rights necessarily grants rights, I just have to make a clarification, Bunny. Your rights are already there, and they existed before the Constitution. Your right to survive, your right to feed yourself, your right to defend yourself. These are intrinsic natural rights that are inherent to every sentient being that are being trampled on here. One of the things that I most adore about liberty activists and constitutionalists is they so eloquently illustrate why I'm an anarchist. Because these rights mean nothing to these people. There is no Constitution left. I have respect for what they're doing. I just respectfully disagree. Our rights are natural rights inherent to any sentient being. I have, a right to defend myself the same way that my eye will close when I'm walking through the woods and a stick gets near it, on an instinctual level. But but the spirit of the law, the spirit of the Constitution, and its original intent, I have nothing but respect for. But at this point, it's pretty much the stench of the fact that there is no Constitution, there is no Bill of Rights, and it's not justice anymore. It's just us and our rich plutocratic friends, and everyone else can just F off. Is illustrated time and time again by these liberty activists, and I full well understand why people like Gavin Syme are leaving the country. Why they're taking their family and living in Mexico.
Yeah. Well, this, opens up the potential for a future discussion on an SNC between our political stances and views on that specific issue. And as is, we are nearing the end. Yeah, we're nearing the end of our 2-hour predetermined thing. So we did our little final spiel, I think. Shall we go ahead and do our little plugs there? And
yeah, Bunny, you go last. I'll go first.
Okay, got it. Go ahead, man.
All right. So as always, I am your friendly neighborhood cop. And when you're upvoting, liking, re-steaming, smashing that super chat, or just generally sending my PayPal or Patreon a little money, holla holla bill, gimme. Okay, that's enough shameless self-promotion out of me. Thanks for watching, people. I love you all, especially you open carry activists. You got me, man. I'm 100% in support of you guys, and I would love it if I could get some of the folks from Open Carry Texas on the show to talk about this stuff from their perspective.
Well, I might have a conversation with a few later on tonight, so maybe I'll pitch that to them. But moving on, as is, I am Bunny Boots Inc. You can catch my live streams both on this channel of Bunny Boots Inc. You can find it over on Twitch. What is it? Twitch, Mixer, Stream, StreamMe, and Periscope. I also live stream too, and I got a secondary channel which I'm working its way up to getting the monetization needs for that one going, called BBI Live Streams and Drama, which I'll need to throw that into the description at some point. But yes, we do have, I do have that going on. I am sort of spreading out to resist potential censorship by anybody or YouTube themselves on various issues that we'll cover. Nonetheless, as is, this is Strategic Noncompliance. You can catch us twice a week, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time frame. And of course, you can catch us on Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time frame. So both midweek, we're able to get the East Coast people have a chance to get on. And at the end of the week, West Coast to have a chance to be able to talk with us and all that stuff on in the evening hours when you guys get off work. That's part of the reason why we did that sort of separation there. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Anything else before we sign off?
I just wanted to talk to you, Bunny, just quickly. I have nothing but respect for you. I disagree with you on some political points, but I think that's what's going to make this show awesome, is that we can have intelligent discussions. And I'm more than willing to talk about that during our next show. Those differences in anarchists versus a person that still believes that the Constitution is worth saving. Or something
like that. I think like a little conversation. I think that might be a good one for maybe Friday. We'll have to sit down after this and hash out the details on how we're going to handle that one.
That's no big deal. Like I said, like I said, I love you, brother, and nothing but respect for you and everything that you do. And I think it's, I can't have respect for somebody who I can't have an argument with. And I like your style and everything, and I'm just really thankful for my co-host. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a good time in the chat. We didn't really communicate too much with you guys, except for here and there, but we're covering something pretty important and a lot of details at the same time. We'll see you around this Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time frame. You guys have a good week.